The government today slammed the Social Workers Registration Board again for undermining the professionalism of their sector. While the embattled body said there is misunderstanding involved, it is understood the administration will roll out a proposal to reform the composition of the statutory body. Jackie Lin with more.
On Friday, Secretary for Labour and Welfare Chris Sun issued a public censure on his blog towards the Social Workers Registration Board. 2 days later, Sun reiterated the body has deviated from the spirit of the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance, adding that his criticism is not politically motivated.
I've pointed out very clearly that we have to improve the governance of the board, that public interest is given priority, and also the professionalism and credibility of social workers is being upheld.
Earlier, Sun said the registration board allowed a social worker facing rioting-related trial to sit on the board's disciplinary committee panel. On that, the board's chairman Ng Yue-ming stressed none of the panel members were convicted or undergoing national security-related lawsuits when appointed. Speaking on the radio program, Ng said the welfare chief might have misunderstood or does not have all relevant information at hand.
There is no misunderstanding. I have complete information about what's going on in the board.
The Social Worker Registration Board is a statutory body that compiles and vets the sector's code of practice. It also sets up regulatory systems to monitor the quality of social workers. Currently, it consists of 15 members. 8 are elected by the 6,000 social workers. 6 are appointed by the city's chief executive. The remaining 1 is a representative of the Social Welfare Department. Social welfare sector lawmaker Teck Chi-yun said it's not ideal to further antagonize both sides or to just forcefully increase the government's clout in the body. As a middle-of-the-ground solution, Teck suggests including university scholars to broaden representation of the registration board members and consulting the social worker sector before publishing the proposal.
Registration board is a professional body. It's not talking about the political issue. So if you want to improve the registration board, it has to be includes the element of the professionalism. Also, imagine it will be more easy to be accepted by our professional sector.
Lawmaker Teck Chi-yun also said for social workers who are involved in contentious cases, political or non-political ones, while there should be a presumption of innocence, the Social Workers Registration Board would usually balance the public perception and adjust the work arrangements for the workers in question. For example, the leave without pay arrangement. That means retaining the license or positions of the workers in question, but with his or her salary suspended. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
The government's targeted poverty alleviation scheme aims to financially support 950,000 impoverished residents via care teams and care services. This as some lawmakers criticized the government for removing the existing poverty line, adding that authorities are eliminating the poverty threshold and making it harder to define who belongs to the category. Timothy Lee tells us more.
According to the latest government population studies, around 950,000 Hong Kong residents live below the poverty line. They include 214,000 subdivided flat tenants, 213,000 people in single-parent households, and 550,000 elderly residents. Authorities currently support this community via measures such as the Strive and Rise program, community living room projects, and after-school care services. But some members of the Legislative Council's panel on welfare services voiced their skepticism about the government's elimination of the poverty threshold, stressing that it will make the identification of impoverished residents unclear.
The government is racking its brains on the definition of poverty. Without the definition of poverty, we cannot set our goals on poverty relief. We need a yardstick to measure poverty.
As for the definition of poverty, we don't have a consensus yet. According to our experience, if we just adopt this concept of relative poverty based on income, it's too restrictive.
I need to slam the government on something. Our targeted poverty alleviation is not targeted, not effective. I have no idea why the government got rid of the poverty line. This panel has also focused on other groups, carers, persons with disabilities, persons in mental recovery. These are also people struggling in poverty. People with disabilities, people in mental recovery are already enjoying social welfare services. For SDU households, they don't fall within the safety net of the social welfare system. They're not in abject poverty. They don't have mental issues.
This as some lawmakers suggested the mobilization of enterprises to bear more societal responsibility.
I hope that the Commission on Poverty and the SWD will talk to the FSDB on amending the listing rules to ask the listed companies to help alleviate poverty.
The Secretary for Labor and Welfare noted the suggestion was innovative and will make further considerations. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Authorities have found the body of a man who went missing yesterday at the Lion Rock Country Park. Fire services personnel and police officers began their search for 62-year-old Poon Chung Lung at the Hung Moi Kok Nature Trail in Sha Tin this morning. His family told authorities yesterday that they lost contact with Poon after he went to the country park during the afternoon. This as the government flying service also sent helicopters to assist with the search. At around 11 this morning, police received reports from hikers about a man lying on the ground of the Macklehose Trail. Rescue personnel confirmed his death on site and confirmed that he was Poon Chung Lung. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has delivered some of the Biden administration's strongest criticism yet of Israel's conduct in the war in Gaza. Blinken echoed the findings of a new government report to Congress released Friday. It said Israel's use of U.S.-provided weapons in Gaza likely violated international humanitarian law. Blinken also said Israel's tactics have led to a horrible loss of civilian life while failing to neutralize Hamas leaders and fighters, which could lead to a lasting insurgency. Tracy Furness has more.
Trucks carrying fleeing Palestinians from Rafah as Israeli tanks amass behind trees. Smoke is again seen rising from Rafah city Monday morning after another night of airstrikes by Israeli defense forces, who say their attacks are targeted against Hamas. Many who flee the city end up here in Deir al-Balah, which offered refuge for Palestinians escaping the war between Israel and Hamas. Sprawling tented settlements have sprung up, housing thousands of displaced people from nearby Gaza City. The tens of thousands fleeing Rafah will likely end up here, leaving Deir al-Balah at risk of being unable to cope. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Sunday that there are instances where Israel has acted inconsistent with their obligations under international humanitarian law in the war in Gaza. Speaking on Meet the Press, Blinken refers to a report released by the Biden administration on Friday.
We don't have double standards. We treat Israel, one of our closest allies and partners, just as we would treat any other country, including in assessing something like international humanitarian law and its compliance with that law. You have an enemy that intentionally embeds itself with civilians, hiding under and within schools, mosques, apartment buildings, firing at the Israeli forces from those places. It's very, very difficult in the heat of war to make a definitive assessment about any individual incident.
The Palestinian death toll in Gaza since the Israeli-Hamas fighting began in October has topped 35,000, according to the Gazan Health Ministry. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Welcome back. The human toll from floods in Afghanistan continues to climb, with 315 people reported to have died, while hundreds remain missing. Danny Zhou has more.
Dire conditions in Afghanistan's northern provinces, including Baghlan, Tekar, but action and gore, as heavy floods wreak havoc on homes and essential infrastructure. As of Sunday, more than 300 people were reported to have died, according to the Afghan Ministry of Refugees, and the numbers are expected to rise. The deluge swept away thousands of houses, wiped out hundreds of livestock, and left more than 1,600 people injured. Damage to healthcare facilities and key infrastructure such as roads and water compound the challenges faced by rescue workers. People are forced to escape to higher ground, overlooking their flooded land, waiting to be evacuated. Still reeling from the devastation, survivors in the most affected Baghlan province are desperately trying to remove floodwater and mud from ramshackle houses. The spokesman for Disaster Management Ministry said government relief efforts are underway in a bid to meet the needs of those affected by the floods. Charity organizations have also been stepping up assistance. The lethal wave of flooding starting from Friday was triggered by torrential spring rain and melting snow. Afghanistan is considered among the countries most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. After facing aid cutbacks, governing Taliban officials are pleading for international support, urging the United Nations, humanitarian agencies and private businesses to assist affected communities. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Separatist parties could lose their decade-long hold on power in Spain's northeastern Catalonia region after the pro-union Socialist Party won the most votes in an election on Sunday. The four pro-independence parties, led by the Together Party, were set to get a total of 61 seats, according to a near-complete count of the ballots. That is short of the key figure of 68 seats needed for a majority in the chamber. The Socialists, led by former Health Minister Salvador Illa, savored a historic victory in a Catalan election, claiming 42 seats, up from 33 in 2021. Separatists have held the regional government in Barcelona since 2012 and had won majorities in 4 straight elections. But polling showed that support for secession has shrunk since an illegal and futile breakaway bid in 2017. Police arrested 34 people aged between 19 and 69 on suspicion of illegally driving electric bicycles or scooters. A total of 29 electric bicycles and 5 electric scooters were seized. The arrests were made in Tuen Mun, Yuen Long, and Tin Shui Wai on Thursday and Friday. All were released on bail pending further investigation. Police remind the public that it is an offense to drive any unregistered electric mobility device without a license. Under the Road Traffic Ordinance, an electric mobility device is defined as a motor vehicle. Their usage on roads, footpaths, and cycling tracks is subject to regulation and needs a license. The Hong Kong Post was criticized for issuing its latest stamp designs celebrating the Chung Chau Bun Festival, with some of them incorrectly displaying the dragon dance instead of the tradition, lion, and Qi Lin dances. This, as the Postal Service said, it based its stamp designs on government sources and does not intend to alter them. Timothy Lee reports.
The annual Cheongshao Bun Festival is set to take place this Wednesday. In a bid to promote the city's intangible cultural heritage, the Hong Kong Post issued several stamp designs and items featuring the theme of the festival last Thursday. But one such design, which cost $4, stirred controversy for its dragon dance. The Postal Service website said its stamp designs feature festival parades, including its famous lion and Qilin dances, with the latter being a horned creature from Chinese mythology. But it did not mention dragons. Cheongshao residents traditionally believe dragons control the wind and rain, and do not organize dragon dances in fear of attracting rainstorms. Meanwhile, Yong Shi-ming, the chairman of the Hong Kong Cheongshao Bun Festival Committee, said the body earlier notified the Hong Kong Post about the lack of dragon dances in the festival. The Postal Service stressed it is deeply concerned with the accuracy of the content on its stamp designs, adding that it always conducted careful research during the design process. The Hong Kong Post noted it based the stamp design on government sources on the festival, which it said included references to a golden dragon. Some have also criticized the stamp designs featuring the lion dance for their similarity to a number of images found online. The Postal Service said the designer of the stamp contacted the owner of the online images for authorization to use their likeness in his designs. The Hong Kong Post noted it has no intention to change any of its stamp designs. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Pet owners traveling with their beloved animals have become an increasingly popular trend on the mainland in recent years. To facilitate the pet-owning community, the high-speed rail is considering allowing them to bring animals on board, while the nation's first pet waiting lounge has opened at Shenzhen Airport. The lounge offers 210 square meters of space for the animals to roam freely. The facility provides pet care services as well as a specialized boarding gate. The airport says it hopes these services offered will help reduce the anxiety of pets when they have to leave their homes to travel on planes. That's the news. Pearl Magazine is up next. See you then. Good evening.